Roomies. Welcome back to Roomies Review the Movies. I'm Maria. This is Lindsay. We were real life college roommates. She has a degree in film. I reviewed film for like 20 years or so, and we like to go over films that we missed. So this week, last time anyway, it was my chance to pick the film, and I chose The Skeleton Key from 2005 because Lindsay had never seen it before. And to me, it's one of a very interesting movie for me. I accidentally watched the wrong movie. This is why because we had also discussed House of the Clock and Its Walls, and I got that stuck in my head, so I watched both.
Right.
Not a bad day though.
Yeah.
So the Skeleton Key is a 2005. They call it a 2005 American supernatural folk horror. It does a lot of like Southern Gothic things. It does all the Southern Gothic things because it takes place in New Orleans and Terrebonne Parish as well. At this, huge plantation mansion that's got like 50 rooms or something, and they all have locks, except for the skeleton keys, which can fit in any of the locks and open all the doors. Right, so that's where you get the name from. But it stars people you definitely would have seen and have seen since. I have, Kate Hudson, Jenna Rollins, John Hurt, who is famously known for his voice. He plays a mute role here. Peter Sarsgaard as the lawyer, and Joy Bryant as the best friend, because you always have to have a black bestie,
Right. Life isn't right
if you don't got a black bestie.
Mm-hmm.
So, and
you got to hit that quota of black folks in the movie.
Right. Main character Caroline, played by Kate Hudson. That's Goldie Hawn's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She is actually 25 in this movie, and she plays 25 in the movie because I always like to look those things up.
Mm-hmm.
But she's like volunteering at a hospice for like hours to get her nursing degree, something like this, right? So she's at the hospice, and this man she's reading to passes away, and they take his body, clean up the room, and they call the person who's on the list to come and get the room. And she feels like, oh, it's just a business. They don't really care about these people or whatever. And it's like, well, I don't know what you want them to do exactly.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, are they supposed to hold a memorial?
I don't, right. And like nobody came to get the guy's personal effects or anything. And
not only did they not come, they said they didn't want anything to do with
him.
I'm like, dang, what the hell he do?
He must have done something.
Yeah.
So, but she feels a way about this because her father and she were having an argument about her future, and they stopped talking, and he passed away before she got a chance to take care of him.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at the situation like they're a hospice. They're supposed to take care of you until death, which is exactly what they did. Mm-hmm. And other people are waiting to get in there. So I didn't feel like they were insensitive about that. That was their job.
Yeah. Because what can you do? At the end of the day, it is a business. It's our loved ones, so we are gonna feel some type of way. Like, I'm just speaking like in real life,
right?
We are gonna feel some type of way with the type of care, but they kind of gotta desensitize themselves being in that type of business.
Yeah,
so I get it.
Yeah, if they were mistreating this man in life or anything, like that, but she feels like they kind of disrespected him in death some way. But I don't.
Yeah,
that happened.
She hasn't learned. She hasn't taken that part of nursing yet. How to desensitize yourself, I guess, because she also was affected when she was throwing away his stuff back in the dumpster.
Mm-hmm.
She saw everybody else stuff back in the dumpster too that were treated similarly. So,
so she decides she's going to quit this hospice and take a private position as a caretaker in this plantation house in Terrebonne Parish. And her friend, played by Joy, is like, why do you want to go all the way out there? And she's like, oh, it's less than an hour away. But it seems like it's more just based on like how the landscape changes.
Yeah.
Because she stops to get gas. I was like, you got to stop to get gas for less than an hour away? But okay. But, it's kind of part of the horror movie thing.
Yeah, and the gas station she stopped at, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, you have that last stop gas station that's super creepy.
There's no way.
That's exactly what she got into, and like nobody was there, and she's like, "Oh, I gotta pay for the gas." Where, she's looking for somebody. She hears a baby crying. She hears this record, kind of like this old time record with this guy preaching on it and music behind it or whatever. Around, she gets nosy, which is her problem for this entire movie. She's very nosy for no reason.
Right. Right.
So she's looking around. There's like a screen door in the back of the I don't know, the store. And all of a sudden there's this woman with these big old cataracts holding this baby,
Lord have mercy.
as a jump scare.
Mm-hmm.
And then she turns back around. There's this big black man speaking French, and that's supposed to be a jump scare. And he's like, "Do you speak French?" Like,
Right.
and he tells her, how much the gas is and everything. And like, it's normal. His interaction is totally normal, but for her, it was very scary.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have been scared too, because you just appear behind my back. I don't hear you walking up or nothing like that. And then this lady just appeared with this baby with all this cataracts in her eyes, like, so
yeah. If I don't see you in there, I'm just gonna leave the 20 on the table and keep it moving.
Nowadays we don't carry that much cash, so nowadays it wouldn't. Well, nowadays I will hope you can pay at the pump.
Right.
So,
but it wouldn't be that old timey horror gas station if you could pay at the pump, right?
Yeah.
And they have like bones hanging from from the ceiling, kind of like wind chimes of bones.
Mm-hmm.
And they have like brick dust at the door and everything, right?
And alligator heads and snake heads and all that type of stuff, all that artifacts, swamp artifacts.
Lots of flies, so many flies.
Yes, because they got food sitting out unattended to.
And just everywhere. There's a lot of flies.
Yeah.
So she goes on and she gets to the home there, and it's Violet and Benjamin Devereaux, their husband and wife. And Benjamin has apparently had a stroke or an accident, and he doesn't talk anymore, and he doesn't move, right? So he needs all the help. And Violet is very kind of like, she doesn't really care for Caroline too much. She's a little rude, right? And the other person there is Ben, who is like a lawyer who's trying to help them set up their estate affairs and stuff like that before. I'm sorry, is his name Ben? Ben is the husband. Oh, here we go. Luke. So Luke is the lawyer Luke.
Okay.
And he's the one setting up the estate planning for Ben and Violet. And so he's trying to convince Caroline to stay. They really need her there. She's just feeling anxious about somebody new coming to her home after people have quit, apparently more than once. And she really needs the help. So Caroline stays on, right? And she's trying to help take care of Ben. And Violet gives her the skeleton key, right? And she, shows her like, this is how, basically kind of like the routine for how to take care of Ben. So she kind of gets started with that. And then later that night, she hears like a bunch of noise, like something dragging, right? And it's kind of hard to tell what it's coming from. And she's looking all around the house, trying to figure out what's going on. She goes into Ben's room. He's not there. And she's still looking, and she goes back to Ben's room. She's like, wait a minute, his door was locked. How did he get out? This man can't move.
Right.
And that's when she sees his window is open. So she goes to look out the window, and Ben is crawling across the roof, trying to get away.
Right.
And she's like, Ben, stop, because it's raining, pouring cats and dogs.
Right. Like he didn't think that through.
But he falls off the roof into the bushes. And so, they have to go out there and help him and everything and try to find out what's going on. And Caroline is kind of getting this feeling like there's a secret, whatever. So they're outside in the garden, and Violet's telling her how much she loves gardening, whatever. She says, hey, can you go get those seeds that I need out of the attic? So Caroline goes up to the attic. The attic is huge, of course. And she hears this like banging, and there's another door in the attic, and it's kind of being banged by a draft. Now, to me, I would be like, oh, that's a draft. Okay. And left. Like,
Yeah. Movie over.
right, I'm done. Um, but she is nosy. So she goes back there and tries to see like what this door is, what's going on, or whatever, and she can't open it. She tries to open it with her key. She
Mhm.
can't open it. What do you need to open this door for, girl?
Right. What you need is not behind that door.
Right. You here
Yeah.
to take care of this man. Leave the
Okay.
door alone. But she, she is asking Violet about the door and everything, and Violet's, oh, that door is just never opened, she talks about the history of the house, how they got it from these two siblings, and they like to respect the former owners of the house and that kind of thing, right? Because she's also noticed there are no mirrors around the house.
Hmm.
And Violet's like, well, we're already old. We don't want to see each other. We don't want to look at ourselves. And then also, oh, well, the former owners also, they didn't put up mirrors, so we don't either. What?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, girl.
Right.
Sure. Right. So Caroline is still curious about this room. She finds like another key or another way to get it open. And she sees a bunch of like was supposed to be a bunch of hoodoo stuff, right?
Hmm.
Around. So there's like stuff in jars, there's herbs, there's chalk drawings, there's all the mirrors that were supposed to be in the house. Because Violet said, well, you can have your own little mirror if you need one. And she also finds like this record by Papa Justify and Mama Cecile, about it's a recording conjure of sacrifice, right? And he's like reciting a hoodoo ritual on the recording. And so she takes that and she takes a mirror or whatever, and she puts a mirror up, and I can't tell like if this mirror was in her room or just like in the house. It's a little confusing the way it's filmed.
Yeah. I assumed that it was in the house and she found it.
Yeah. And so Violet is upset, screaming like,
Hmm.
take this down, I told you, whatever, whatever. So she's like, okay, oh my god.
Hmm.
So she now believes that Carolyn and Ben like are into this hoodoo stuff, or maybe Carolyn caused, I'm sorry, not Carolyn, but Violet and Ben, and maybe Violet caused this stroke via hoodoo and all this stuff. Because when she
Hmm.
first got there, Violet asked her like, what are your religious beliefs or whatever, and she was like, oh, I'm just open-minded.
Right. Right.
She didn't really have anything to say about that. So she sees all this stuff going on. She found some like brick dust in a shed. She's seeing all these symbols, these candles, this record, these mirrors. She's like, this is not adding up. Right.
Hmm.
So she believes, they're actually dosing him to like keep him paralyzed, because how did he get on the roof if he's supposed to be paralyzed?
Right. Right. He was coming. He was coming off of that stupor that they was putting him in.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So she's telling this to her black bestie, and she tells her, my aunt was like really into hoodoo and stuff. She used to go to the store, talk to this hoodoo woman, whatever. And she's like, I'll show you where it is. So she takes her and shows her. She's like, there it is across the street. And Caroline's like, you're not gonna go in? She was like, no. She was like, well, I thought you didn't believe. She was like, yeah, I don't believe, but I'm not about to mess with it either.
right. I ain't stupid.
For what? I
Yeah.
don't need anything from there. I'm
Right.
good.
Right. That's when you knew that if it wasn't a black person in the writer's room, they ran this by a black person, because that was some black person shit right there. Because
Mm-hmm.
we ain't fooling with that if we like, because we know, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, if we ain't practicing it, we still ain't fooling with it.
No.
You know?
Don't need it.
Right. Right.
So she visits this hoodoo shop, which is like in a laundromat, and she talks to the woman there who gives her like some tools and instructions to like help cure Ben. And so she takes them back, and she's like performing this ritual to help cure him, and he starts to like be able to move, and he's able to speak a little bit. He says her name, and she's trying to get him to tell her like what's going on, what's he afraid of, all this kind of stuff. And he's also making a lot of noise, so Violet's going down there, and he just like points at the door, like he's really scared about Violet coming down there.
Hmm.
And Violet comes down there and she's like, you know what? You can just go. You're off for the night, okay? Like because before this even I think she's like bathing Ben, and she has her own little like hand mirror now, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other mirror had to come down, and she just shows the mirror to Ben, and he freaks out completely.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, why would you do that?
Right.
Like this and the spell thing, this man has no agency. You're just doing these things to
You're
him.
right.
What kind of nurse are you?
Right. Right. Just testing it out to see what happens.
He's just your lab rabbit
Yeah.
now. It's like, girl.
Basically. Basically. Yeah. Yeah. She needed a couple more hours in school.
So the hoodoo woman also told her about the brick dust. So you put the brick dust down so people who mean you harm can't cross it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she put a line of brick dust down at her door, and she tries to get Violet to come in the room because she's like, "Oh, I see something's wrong with the light or whatever." She's like, "I need you to come in and see it," and Violet just won't cross the threshold.
Mm-hmm.
Period. And then they're also like both just so distrustful of each other at this point. Violet's like, "Hey, let me cook you some dinner. I never made you anything," right?
Right. Right.
And Caroline's like, "Okay." So Caroline goes down there and she won't eat the gumbo, right? But Caroline is also like, "Hey, Violet, I know you really like tea, so let's have some tea." So she makes some tea, and she was like, "Don't you want some sugar in your tea?" Because she had dosed the sugar with some drug. And Violet was like, "No, I don't need any sugar."
Right. Right. Like, nope. I'm gonna drink this nasty ass tea by itself.
She's like, you're not gonna get me, basically.
Right. Right. You cannot get me.
So after this and the whole brick dust thing, Caroline is very sure Violet means them harm, and so she tries to she kidnaps Ben, puts him in her car, and like is trying to leave the place. Right? She actually has a fight with Violet, and Violet's like on the ground.
Right.
She can't move because her legs are broken, and
Mm-hmm.
she's like trying to do a spell to make sure that Ben doesn't leave. So they're driving in her 1970 whatever bug Beetle, right? And they come against this giant iron fence, and it's now locked and padded. And she tries to ram it with her car twice, and of course it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen your car?
Yeah.
Did you see that gate?
All right. I'm surprised it made it out there, to be honest.
And then I'm just like, and I'm like, Ben, this poor man.
Right. Right. Just accident after accident. Just bam. Bam.
He been shown this mirror. He even had a spell on him.
Right.
He's been trying to escape. Now he's in this car, and he's been in actually 3 accidents because gets turned around and like she I don't know, she hit a statue or something, a column or something. Like what?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you care about this man so much, girl.
Right. Right. I was just like, he about to go through the windshield. Like
you about to kill him, actually.
Right. Right. And I'm like, yo, raggedy car can't get through this gate. This is one of them iron gates. You know what I mean?
Big gate too.
Yeah. Yeah. But that mug took a licking and kept on ticking.
Until she hit a column somehow. I don't know what she was doing. So she hides Ben like in the shed where the brick dust is. And she hops in this canoe that's like on a lake and paddles away while Violet's trying to shoot at her. She somehow ends up at Luke's apartment. It's not really clear how she got there.
Yeah. Right.
I was like, you were on a boat. How did you get to the city? I don't.
Yeah, right. Because I remember when she was shooting at her, she was hiding behind their car when she was shooting. Mm-hmm. And then she got down to the boat and took the boat away. So that is a great question because they don't necessarily say how she escaped from the boat. Like, because she didn't take the boat back to New Orleans.
You know? You don't know. Maybe she did.
Maybe she did. They didn't really make that clear.
No. Now, when she's on the boat, you do hear like a party may be happening, like some Zydeco music or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking there was a cut scene there where
It's
she like
possible.
found those people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did find like some deleted scenes on YouTube, but the sound cut out like halfway through. It's like, well,
Mm. Okay.
what's the point?
Yeah.
Uh
They was just like, you know what? She's there. Let's keep the movie
yeah,
going.
she's there. That's all that matters.
All right.
So she goes to Luke. She's at Luke's for help, and Luke gets a telephone call. So he's like, I'll be right back. And so she's looking around a little bit because she nosy. And she finds Luke is got a bunch of like estate planning for beginners and like estate law for dummies, right?
Right.
Because he's supposed to be a lawyer, but he doesn't know how to do this.
No,
What
at
is
all.
really going on?
Right.
And then she finds a folder like full of pictures of her and everything, And so she realizes they've been working together,
Mm-hmm.
and she tries to escape. She gets back to the house, right? Um, she gets into a fight with Violet. This is when she pushes Violet down the stairs and breaks her legs.
Mm-hmm.
She's also trying to escape Luke, who is there trying to catch her now because she knows they're all working together.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got the brick dust and she's like using it to basically trap them and to keep them from coming after her. Right? She calls 911. She calls Jill. Right? And then she heads up to the attic because in the attic she had seen in one of the like books, like one of the grimoires or whatever they had, a spell book, a spell for protection. So she starts doing the spell for protection, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the part we didn't cover is why, like, she's even doing any of this. So
Yeah.
she had asked Violet, like, I had been able to open the room. I
Mm-hmm.
saw what was in the room, like what's going on. Yeah. And Violet tells her, well, Mama Cecile and Papa Justify used to work here back in the 20s. They were known to be very good at hoodoo throughout the bayou. However, the man who owned the house was very abusive towards them, right? And they were sick of it. So they had this big party at the house, and the folks were getting ready to leave, and they want to say goodbye to the kids, which I'm like, it's probably like 3 or 4 a.m. Let the kids sleep. What do you mean?
You
Like,
know? Yeah.
but anyway, they want to
A
say goodbye to
random
the kids.
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
You can see them later when the sun is up.
Right.
Uh, They want to say goodbye to the kids. They can't find the kids. They're looking all around the house, trying to find the kids. Can't find the kids, can't find the kids. They finally go into the attic and they see the kids inside the circle of protection. All the candles are lit. The record player is going with that Conjure of Sacrifice. Mama and Papa Cecile are like outside the circle and they're like shaking and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
the white folks are mad and they get them and they lynch them, and then they throw their alcohol that they're drinking, all their drinks, on them and put them on fire.
Yeah.
So Violet explains it was not too long after that the father actually shot his wife and himself.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just the brother and sister living in the house until they
Which
came
is
to God.
wild. Like this was in the 1920s. I wouldn't have thought that kids being orphaned would have stayed orphaned. Cuz if it was not too long, those were kids. They had to be like 10, 12 at the
Mm-hmm.
time. So I would have thought that if that happened to their parents, somebody would have took them or they would have went into foster care.
Well, yeah, somebody really came to the house and take care of them because that's not a kind of house you would just let go. So,
Yeah. 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 But mm,
so we're back in the attic, and Caroline's in this circle of protection. Right, all the candles are lit and everything. Luke finds her. He starts playing the Conjure Sacrifice. Violet has drug herself all the way up the attic because she can't walk because her legs are broken.
mm-hmm.
And she gets up there. She's like, "You broke my legs, but I'm still here." Yeah.
Right.
And so, yeah, Caroline is like, "You can't do anything to me. I'm in the circle of protection. You can't touch me." Da, 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 you know.
Mm-hmm.
And Violet's like, "That circle protects you from leaving it, right?" And
Mm-hmm.
she there's a mirror out there, and she turns it over, and in the mirror you can see like kind of like these ghostly visions of Violet, of the daughter of also Mama Cecile. She throws the mirror at Caroline. and Caroline goes down. All the candles go out. Violet passes out. You know, whatever. And then we see
Mm-hmm.
Caroline finally gets up, and then we see her light a cigarette.
Yeah. And she was saying something right up until she was chanting something.
They were chanting something for the spell.
Yeah.
But Caroline gets up and lights a cigarette. Caroline didn't smoke. Violet smoked. Violet told Caroline, I like to smoke, and I smoke often.
Right.
So what you find out is Caroline and Violet switch bodies. And that's what Mama Cecile and Papa Justified been doing this whole time.
Yeah.
When they hung them, they actually hung their children because they had switched into their children's bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And then they switched into Violet and Ben's bodies. And
Yeah.
then when Ben was getting a little too old, they switched from Ben to Luke. So now Papa Justify is Luke and Mama Cecile is Caroline.
Yeah.
And Jill comes up there and she's like, calling after Caroline. Caroline's not responding. And it's like she's forgotten who she is or whatever. And she's like, oh yeah, my roommate, whatever. Could you go to the hospital with Ben? Whatever. And like take care of him, go to the hospital with Ben and Violet. They need somebody. Like, why would she go? Anyway. And then the lawyer, Luke, is like, oh, they just really loved Caroline and everything. They gave her the house.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was thoroughly confused up until at the end. I was with it all the way up until the end. I had to go watch a ending explained video. Yeah.
Because when they're
whoa.
when they're together, when Luke and Caroline are together later, Caroline says, I told you I want a black one this time.
Mm-hmm.
And Luke says, but the black ones never stay. Because they had actually talked to a former nurse who worked there who was black and was like, you should just leave.
Right.
And Caroline has all these questions about what's going on. She's like, you should leave.
Right.
You should just leave.
Right. I'm telling you, if it wasn't a black person in the writer's room, a black person overlooked this because them black folks was on the money.
None of it literally couldn't have worked if she was not a nosy white woman.
Right, right. They were on it. They were woke. Because them black folks was like, no ma'am.
We are keeping this house.
Right. Right. So but yeah, I don't know. It has to be the way they edited the movie.
Mm.
Because there were things that just didn't click.
Mm.
And when it came to that ending, I was like, wait a minute. Like it was like, I get it, but how we get here? Like it wasn't that clear to me. So
really?
Yeah, that's why I had to go watch it and ending explain, because I'm like, I see what you're trying to do, but this isn't clear. Like,
oh, it was very clear for me.
It was not
the
clear.
First time I watched it. But they had been dropping clues throughout the movie. Like Violet asked Caroline about, you have any writing on your body? Oh, y'all like to have writing on your body. She's like, not where anybody can see. And Violet's like, okay. Yeah. She doesn't want a body with tattoos.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it just, I just had to go watch it and explain, because I was like, this is not clear. So I don't know, but yeah, but that's where I was. I was like, hold on.
So what did you think had happened at the end of the movie?
I knew something had switched, but I wasn't clear on who had switched, if they were just like continually, because the way that they set it up for me, when the kids were in the circle and they were like going through their convulsions, I was thinking that they were teaching them how to do it. And so that was actually them like the kids that got old, not them into the kids' bodies.
That's
So
what the people thought, which is why they hung him.
right, right. So I thought that's what I thought when I watched it, was that it the kids actually didn't sell it to them. It actually, or no. They did sell it to them, but they told them. So it was all just like a whole,
They
like,
did it to the kids. Period.
yeah, right, right. But it didn't click to me that they did that to the kids. I thought they just taught them how to do it.
Well, because there is a scene where Caroline takes that record she finds, Conjure of Sacrifice,
Hmm.
goes back to that gas station, sees some homes behind the gas station, goes to the homes, lets herself inside the home,
Right.
finds the lady with the cataract, starts talking to her, and is looking through this woman's stuff
Hmm.
while she's talking to her.
Right. That was a bit
Uh,
of invasive.
right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, she had to ask her, could you not touch my stuff? What?
Right. Like
And
the
so
nerve and
no,
audacity. Like, you walk into this lady house that you have only seen one other time, and you just going through her shit. Like,
right.
you don't know who this lady is. You don't know who them people are that she live with. Like, and you
She
just
obviously can't see you. Why
right,
are you doing this to this woman?
right,
You're the
right.
worst nurse, actually.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. She missed a couple of classes.
Yeah. But the
So
woman does tell her that the record is a way for them to, it was a ritual he was working on to try and extend life. So it wouldn't necessarily make you immortal, but it'll extend your life. But you do have to make a switch, a trade, sacrifice.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, because she just thought it was a weird song
Mm-hmm.
up until that point, but the song had a meaning, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it just wasn't clicking for me
Mm-hmm.
on what like, I knew something was going on. I knew enough to follow the story,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't think that they were switching bodies up until I had to watch the end and explain. Or, like, I knew they switched the bodies at the end, but it was just like, what? We're switching bodies now, but they had been switching bodies, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
part that didn't click. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing this the first time I saw it, and like when she's going over the story, Violet is telling Caroline the story of Mom Cecile and Papa Justify, and they're showing the events, and they've hung them and they've set them on fire, and then they go back to the kids who are watching from the attic window, and I
Hmm.
remember going, because they're just watching,
Yeah.
and I was like, that seems kind of strange.
Yeah.
You know, they're not really having much of a reaction.
I was just, I guess, they were shocked that that's what they were seeing.
Mm. To me, it just was like, you
Yeah.
know, kind of
Hmm.
thing. But yeah, so they were switching bodies. And the reason why Ben freaked out when he saw himself in the mirror was because he's actually Luke in Ben's body, and he had no idea what he looked like now.
Hmm. Yeah.
We also see Caroline waking up in Violet's body, which is incredibly painful. She woke
Yeah.
up with 2 broken legs.
Right. Right.
You know, she can
Yeah.
barely talk. They give her some drugs. They're like, oh, she had an accident. She might have had a stroke. She can't
Hmm.
really talk.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And now they about to go put them away.
Mm-hmm.
So it don't matter if they come down off their drugs or not. Ain't nobody gonna pay attention to what they talking
Nobody's going to believe that. Right.
about. Yeah.
And that's one thing Violet says to Caroline when they're in the attic during one of those final scenes. She's like, we had to make you believe.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, it doesn't work if you don't believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so she knew when she started using that brick dust that she got her.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It was very interesting. Excuse me. But yeah, the editing for me,
Could have used some work.
it could have used a lot of work. And this is one of those issues where you need a fresh pair of eyes sometimes in the editing room, because you can get so engulfed in what you're doing, and and if you're doing it, the story frontwards and backwards. You know what I'm saying? So you can feel like hey, I can cut this, I can cut that, and it still be cohesive. But if you get a fresh pair of eyes, they can tell you like this ain't clear,
Right.
you know. So
Mm-hmm.
I know when I was in school and I was doing my student films and stuff like that, I would be so engulfed in like maybe trying to edit a certain part that I would spend literally hours on that. And I would get so frustrated and be like, you know what? F this whole project. I just want to start from scratch. Like it's terrible. I don't
Yeah.
want to do it no more. And I would have to have a fresh pair of eyes to look at it and be like, no, keep going. You're on the right track. You just need to do this, this, and that. So it's always good to have that fresh pair of eyes because literally every project I did, when I got to that editing part and I would always get stuck, I will always be like, scrap it.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah, definitely. A second pair of eyes helps out so much on so many
mhm.
things, honestly.
Yeah, yes, it really do. It really do. And not only a second pair, but just a fresh pair, you know. Because I've
Mm-hmm.
done group projects where I would be like, scrap it. And just we had to get a third party involved to look at it and be like,
Yeah.
oh, this is actually great. Like you're on the right track. Finish it. Like so yeah. But yeah, so let's
But,
get to our rating system.
mhm.
So we have our movie rating system where we have one movie real trash AF, two it exists, three entertaining, four great, five a true classic. Maria, what say you?
I would probably give this about a 3.5.
8.5.
Because I think it's entertaining. I do think the editing needs some work because it does have like some slow parts
Mm-hmm.
where it really doesn't need them. Um, but I really like the story. I really like how this is kind of one of the stories where the quote unquote villains win,
Mm-hmm.
but to me, they're not villains.
Right. Are they villains?
Are they? Right. And then also, I like basically I like how I like how they win. I
Yeah,
like how
yeah.
they win. I also like how this would not literally would. There's so many films that come out with diverse cast, different races, blah blah, and you'll hear people say, "Well, why is somebody this? Why is somebody not white?" Basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those stories where like it was required that this person actually had to be white.
Yes. Yes. And the voice of reasons were black.
Right.
So yeah.
I thought it was very interesting that I was like informed by that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Right. Right.
So, what would you give it, Lindsay?
I will give it a three. It is entertaining, but pretty much for the same reasons that you discussed. The whole, and that I've discussed earlier as well. The whole editing thing, it just really um, doesn't make it a clear story.
Mm,
And I just hope that the original, like the director's cut, is more cohesive,
mm,
you know, and more of a clear story than what we got. But it is entertaining for the most part. So yeah,
Could you see this being redone?
I can definitely see it being redone. It'll be what 20 years next year, so
Yeah.
I could definitely see it being redone and definitely see somebody making it a clear story. Yeah.
A more streamlined story. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it does have a lot of potential to be redone.
Mm,
Actually, I actually hope somebody does take it and redo it.
yeah.
You know.
I can see that too. I think that would be a good thing to do for sure.
Hmm.
Because one of the things Roger Ebert says is explains too much while also explaining too little. And
Hmm.
I think that's pretty accurate. So,
And that's extremely accurate.
mhm.
Extremely accurate because I want to know what it was, you know, with the daughter that she got into it with her dad that was that bad to where she wasn't around when he got sick and died.
Well, they said it was about she wanted to pursue a different field of work than he wanted her to pursue.
But why was it that big of a deal?
I
You know
don't
what I'm
know.
saying? Like what
How
happened?
did
Like
it
it would
get
have
so big they stopped talking to each other?
right, right. Like it would have been cool to have like a quick little 20-30 second flashback to them having like a horrible ass argument. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That would have killed that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it would have been like the people at the gas station. Why do they know so much? Why was it such a go go back to her? Like that would have been a cool thing.
Well, she went back to her because they were playing a Papa Justify record the first time she was in there.
Yeah, but I mean, anybody could have been playing that record. Like,
But
how
that's
does
where
she
she heard it.
know? Right, but how does she know that she needs to get answers about this song?
Because that's the only place she ever heard that record before. So that's why
But
she went back there.
yeah, I get that part. But
Yeah.
why is it that she needs to get answers about this song? Like,
Because
what
she's
is it about
nosy.
this song?
She nosy. That's why.
Yeah, see, nosy ain't a good enough answer.
But it had to be, for them
Yeah.
to get the body. She had to be nosy.
Yeah, no, I understand her having to be nosy, but nosy ain't a good enough excuse to want to know specifically why I need to know about this song in
Oh,
particular.
it is to me.
Yeah, see, like, what if she was playing Juvenile? Then you
Well,
gonna
she
like,
found the Papa Justify record in the attic. She played it. She heard it, and she was like, "Oh, I remember hearing something like this back at the gas station." So that's the
yeah,
only reason she ever went back there, and why she felt like she had to know about everything because she feel like she need to know about everything. Why she feel like she need to open that door in the first place?
yeah, all that, yeah. But I'm just saying, like, if I hear a song, any song, if I hear a song and I've never heard it before, okay. Then I hear it again. I just heard this back over there. I'm not gonna
Well,
go
it
and
wasn't like you just
investigate.
chanced and heard it again. You've never heard this before. You
Yeah.
found a record. You have a question about the record. You can't just look it up online.
But see, maybe that's where my disconnect is because I'm living in 2024. And I'm just like, why you just didn't Google it? Like, so yeah. But yeah. Yeah, I just think a lot of things could have been explained better.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, but that is 2005's The Skeleton Key.
Yes.
So that closes out our Halloween.
Yes.
So next time, I have mentioned this to you a few times and we still have not done it. So we're gonna do it.
What are we gonna do?
Um High School High.
High School High. Okay.
Yeah. And it is on Stars.
Okay.
So let me see, where else is it on? It's on Hulu too.
Okay. That works.
Yep. Yep. So we will be watching 1996's High School High.
Yes.
I remember watching it at the theater.
Do you? Wow.
Yeah. Yep. So
I think the
Marie.
movie I remember from that year would have been Independence Day. I think that's the only one I remember
Yeah, yep.
being in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
High
Yep.
School
Now
High.
that was
Okay.
huge. Both of us definitely seen Independence Day.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah. So Maria, where can we find you?
You can find me online pretty much anywhere. If I'm there, you'll find me at Valarmor Dollars. That's VALARMOR Dollars. I'm also on another podcast called Nerdgasm Nor with 5 other Black ladies where we talk about nerdy, geeky, pop culture, tech things. So you can join us there too. And where can they find you, Lindsay?
You can find me everywhere at L_Ranelle. That's L_RANELLE. And you can also find me on my other podcast, The Ish We Talk, where me and my cousin talk about a variety of topics.
What y'all talk about this week?
This past week we talked about that damn Trump rally.
Good one.
And Tamron Hall.
I don't believe that one.
That one,
That sounds
I don't want to
very
believe it,
rumorish to me.
I see. I
I'm
don't
not
want
gonna.
to believe it, but being like we're talking about pre politics Trump,
No. Mm-mm.
so I
He
can
was
just
even gross back then. No.
he was gross, but it wasn't about him. It wasn't about aesthetics. Obviously, Tamron Hall likes rich, successful white men. So yeah, I
I don't
it's
believe
not
it.
that I don't want to believe it, but it's not far fetched.
It's very far fetched to me.
It's not. I mean, 2024, absolutely. 2015, absolutely not.
Very far fetched to me, even then.
Yeah. No, I can definitely see it. So yeah, we talked about that. And the Twitter reactions was hilarious. And then we also talked about D Wade and the Twitter reactions about his
Oh my
horrible
gosh.
statue.
Oh, that statue. Oh my gosh.
That is the worst statue.
It's so bad.
Oh God. But somebody, have you ever seen that clip of Casey and JoJo when they were in the a radio studio singing Life?
Yes.
Somebody put D Wade's statue face on Casey's body and was like, "Time is
No.
slipping away from
No.
me."
No.
Oh my God. It was so hilarious. So yeah.
Statue. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So disrespectful. That statue.
It is. It is. I put on Facebook it's bullshit because
Yeah.
he deserves better. He does. He deserves way better than that.
Yeah.
And
It
then
should
there
at
was
least
a
look
clip,
like him.
you know, and like I get that it's supposed to be him in the moment, but yeah. But this is the crazy part. I seen pictures of him during the process of them making it. So
Me
he's
too.
approved it. Yeah. But then the unveiling when he walked around him, I was like, he looking like, is this a prank? Am I being punked? Like, where's the other one? Where's the real one?
Right. Where's the one we agreed on?
Right. I can't get jiggy with this shit. Like, and in that moment when him and his son were looking at each other, but they didn't talk, and then they just bust out laughing.
Oh my goodness. No, I didn't see that part.
Oh my! I'm gonna send it to you. Oh my God! Because in the NBA shared a clip of them two, and they made it seem like, oh, he's just taking in the moment, and then somebody shared it and was like, "This is peak niggle pappy," and I was like, and I was just like, that's pretty much when you're in public with your parents and you know what you're seeing is BS, and you want to look at your parents in confirmation. And they don't want to say nothing in public, but that ride home.
Yes.
So that's exactly that look that they shared.
You see this?
Right. Like, I know this is bullshit. You know this is bullshit. I know you don't want to say nothing. Because that is the look. And it's so funny that the NBA shared that moment and thought it was just an awesome moment. But no, that is not what was going on in that moment.
Not at all.
But yeah, I'll send it to you. But yeah. Yep. Those were a couple of things that we talked about.
All right.
So yeah. So yes, this was episode 65 of Roomies Review the Movies. And we will see you guys for episode 66. High School High.
High School High.
Bye.
Bye.